Hello, and thank you for joining us. The White House is moving forward on tariffs while still playing defense on that controversial text chain. U.S. allies and members of the auto industry are voicing concerns over President Trump's proposed 25% tariffs on foreign-made cars and parts. The tariffs are set to go into effect along with planned reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd, which the president has dubbed Liberation Day in America. All three major stock indexes closed in the red Thursday. We'll have more on what consumers should expect later this hour. We're also tracking the continued fallout from the Signal group chat discussing military strikes in Yemen that a journalist was inadvertently included on. A government watchdog group took the administration to court Thursday, accusing top intelligence officials of illegally destroying federal records since, according to journalist Jeffrey Goldberg, who was in the chat, some of the messages were said to disappear after 1 week. The federal judge randomly selected to oversee the case, Judge James Boasberg, the same one handling the legal battle over a wartime law used by the administration to deport Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador, ordered the defendants to preserve the Signal chat, defendants including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. The judge also wants the DOJ to submit a status report by Monday. The White House isn't just getting heat in the courtroom, it's also facing pressure from a top Republican in the Senate. Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Republican Roger Wicker, along with ranking Democrat Jack Reed, are asking for an expedited Inspector General investigation into the chat incident. CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins us now. Olivia, how is the White House feeling about Republicans now pushing for answers over this chat? And is it still the administration's position that everyone's job is safe?
Well, Lindsay, it's good to be with you. It's certainly something that the White House would like to see go away, but this story is persisting as we learn that Congress, now in a bipartisan fashion, is asking the Inspector General of the Pentagon to investigate this matter. As you mentioned, the two top senators on the Senate Armed Services Committee sent a letter to the Inspector General at the Pentagon asking him to investigate about 6 areas regarding the Signal chat debacle. And those areas include the facts and circumstances around the incident, whether or not or whether administration officials followed the Defense Department's policies on classified information, but they're also asking for an assessment of the Defense Department's declassification process. As you know, that's really the bedrock of the concern now of this story, is whether or not the information that was passed along in this group chat was classified at that moment, and whether or not Jeffrey Goldberg had been given access to this classified information before these strikes occurred in Yemen. Now, the White House has continued to really downplay this incident. They've attacked the journalists involved. They are saying that the information shared is not declassified, therefore this is a non-story. But we are hearing some chatter that frustration is persisting within the White House, that Trump has been watching the fallout from this very closely and is calling this a little bit of a hot potato at this moment, according to one administration official, saying that, at any moment, we could see more fallout from this. Trump's still watching it, of course, very closely, saying no one has lost their job yet. But of course, as this story continues, as there is now an investigation in Congress into this and also some reaction in the courts, that certainly this is something that's not just going to go away, Lindsay.
And CBS News has also learned that National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who was the one who invited Jeffrey Goldberg into that Signal chat, left the contact list on his Venmo account public as of Tuesday. So Venmo, a popular app, it lets you and I send money to and from each other. How significant is that information? It's now private, but it was public after the Signal story broke.
Well, it's certainly significant that that information of the National Security Advisor was out there and it was public. And on Venmo, you can see people's interactions. You can see not only who's in their contact list, but you can see who they're sending money to and why they're sending that money. So the transaction list as well was also public, and we could see who he was sending money to and people he had perhaps engaged with prior and were a part of his contact list. That included members of the media, journalists, but also other congressmen, people who were his friends on the app, But we know once this became public and people were pointing this out, that then this became private. He went back into his settings and changed this into a private thing where you cannot see his contact list, you cannot see his transaction history. A spokesperson for the National Security Council told CBS News that Venmo is a commonly used app, and Mike Waltz had made necessary updates for his personal private protection. But obviously the backdrop of all of this comes as the Atlantic story has continued to really take a forefront in media coverage this week.
Olivia, the Department of Health and Human Services says it will cut 10,000 workers. It's aiming to reduce its workforce by about a quarter. What's the ultimate goal here?
Well, we heard from Secretary Kennedy this morning that this is a dramatic restructuring of the Department of Health and Human Services. You mentioned those 10,000 people that were laid off. They are also planning to consolidate 28 departments into 15 new departments, really streamlining the process of the Health and Human Services Agency and what they do. Secretary Kennedy also said this morning that the focus is going to be on wholesome food, clean water, and the elimination of environmental toxins as the basis for everything they're doing, as well as cutting down on what they're calling government fat and bloat as part of the efforts with DOGE. Lindsay?
Olivia Rinaldi, thanks so much. Later this hour, I'll speak with CBS News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. John LaPook on what these layoffs mean for the nation's top health agencies and our preparedness for future pandemics.